looks like we are now live streaming. I'm sure everybody on my screen here today knows that the first order of business is to appoint a chair and vice chair for the next 12 months. I'm hoping Sarah is here. I see her here. We need to have Sarah conduct this first part of the business. And I will just make a very quick comment. Our good friend, Denny Cybulski, is not in attendance today for personal reasons. But I have known the man well over a decade, and I willingly and fully support and nominate Denny Cybulski for the chair for the next year.
Scott?
I'll second that nomination from Bob. This is my first term on the committee, but Denny does an excellent job chairing the meeting, and he's got lots of experience, so I will certainly second that.
Any comments or further discussion among the members? Great. We have a mover and a seconder to nominate Denny Cybulski as the chair of the Committee of Adjustment for the following year. Can I call a vote, please? All those in favor? Fabulous. That is carried. Can I now ask for a nomination for the vice chair? Scott?
I'd like to nominate Bob McCall as our vice chair. Again, Bob is a valued member of the committee, lots of experience, and does an excellent job standing in when Denny can't be here, and he'll do an excellent job today. So I'm moving Bob as the vice chair.
Excellent. Any comments or further discussion? Mike?
I'm just going to second the motion.
Wonderful. I have a mover and a seconder. I'm not seeing any comments or further discussion, so I'd like to call a vote. All those in favor?
Do I get to vote for myself?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
One hand only, Bob. One hand only.
That passes. So you will be appointed as the vice chair for the coming year. Thank you very much, folks.
Great. Now that we've got that little bit of business out of the way, we will move on to today's list of applications and submissions. The first one is 74 Rutherford Drive. Is the applicant here? That would be Boban Jovanovic, if I pronounce that right. I don't.
Through to the chair, he's just being moved over, and it looks like he's just reconnecting his audio and visual. There he is.
Okay, good morning. The application in front of us is, where is it here? B 2021-054, A 2021-116, and A 2021-117. To remind staff and the board members, committee members, this came before us in October with a recommendation of refusal. This was deferred to November. November staff was still suggesting a refusal. It was again deferred and to December, and here it is now December. And as far as I can see, we have no new information. I shall put that to the applicant. A month ago, you were, and 2 months ago, you were asked to provide further information to staff. Can I, on behalf of the committee, get an explanation why we have no new information?
Yes, new application has been submitted. It's for the January's meeting. We did not meet the deadline to propose what we wanted to do next, and what we proposing is just a severance down the center, which is not what we originally proposed to fit this 2 semis and a duplex. So speaking with the planner in charge, they said it's a big change, so the new application was referred. So I believe we will meet on the next meeting regarding this project.
Okay, so currently the one in front of us is being withdrawn?
That is correct.
Okay, then I guess that's what we can do with that. we don't need to defer it. We don't need to refuse it because it has been officially withdrawn by the applicant. Okay, that's good. Next one, moving along, is application A 2021-120, 12 Hilda Place. Is the applicant or the representative here today? I think I see them.
Hello.
Right.
Joe
Sarah,
Popke's here, and Sarah is also on the line.
good. Okay. Have you had an opportunity to read the staff report?
There's Joe. You back, honey? You're muted.
I'm back. All right.
Okay.
Not sure what happened there.
So to Joe and Sarah, have you had an opportunity to read the staff report, which is recommending approval with some conditions?
Yes.
Do you have any concerns about what the city is, the staff is recommending?
No concerns.
Okay, I do notice, according to the report, that condition number 1, the heritage permit is approved. I believe that has been completed, so we don't need that condition anymore. And there's also the addition of a $280 GRCA fee that would add to the conditions. So Scott, you have a question.
Yeah, I did have a question for staff. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I noticed that the original heritage permit was approved, but to add the privacy screen, I just want to ask staff, will that require a new heritage permit? And if so, is that the reason why condition 1 is being recommended?
Sorry about that. So through the chair, that is my understanding, Mr. Hanna.
So a new heritage permit will be required?
Yes.
Okay. And I just want to make another comment. I fully support the application, Mr. Chairman, but I'm glad that city staff is recommending a minimum of 1.2 meter high privacy fence, and the word minimum, because I don't think 4 feet might be enough, but I'll leave that up to staff and the applicant to work out. So if no one else has any comments, Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to move the recommendation as is, because a new heritage permit will be required.
Plus the $280 GRC.
Plus the $280 GRC fee. Thank you very much.
I just have a quick comment, a quick question for the applicant, if I can, Mr. Chair. And that is with respect to the completion deadline that's been applied, June 1st, 2022. Is that sufficient time in your estimation to complete all of the work? That's only 6 months, and given the, I suppose, environment of getting contracts fulfilled, do you feel that that's enough time?
Mike, maybe that's something for the applicant to respond to.
I'm sorry, I thought I had directed it to the applicant. My apologies.
Joe?
I
I think it's enough time.
Oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we think it's enough time. We're looking forward to starting first thing in the spring. If we do go past that date, how do we navigate that? You know, we're not, it's not something that we do regularly here, but does it make sense to move it to the end of summer to give us more time now?
Well,
Is that
to respond to the applicant, there are
permit process?
we could easily extend it, or as it says in condition number 3, an extension can be granted by the manager of development review or their designate. I think an easiest way would be to have this completed by September 1st of 2022. That would be my suggestion. Does that answer your concern, Mike?
Yes, absolutely.
Scott?
Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to revise my motion to have condition 3 read September 1st.
Okay, that's the motion. Do we have a seconder? Mike, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next application is A 2021-130. Oh, no, am I out of order here? Where did Hearst go?
Just,
Bear with me just a sec. I've got my papers out of order.
you don't want Hertz, Bob. That's way down the list.
And I want Frederick Street.
Oh, okay, I have another list here that is, okay, so then we are moving ahead with 2021-130878 Frederick Street. An interesting application. Is the applicant here? Would be Matt Boland is the name I have listed here. I see him there. If you're here, unmute your microphone and we'll carry on.
Hi there. My name is Morgan Wright, and I'm also an applicant. I believe Matt Boland might be listening in on the call, but I don't know if he'll be able to verbally join us.
I am.
Oh.
I am here. I am here, Morgan. I'm here as well. Yep.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. I see we have three people who are planning to participate in this application. I will say, as a matter of procedure, when one person has made a statement, the second person or third person should not reiterate what the first person has said, just to keep the meeting moving ahead quickly. So to the applicant, have you read the staff report on this application?
Yes.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
No.
Okay, then in that case, I will open it up to members of the committee. Scott, Mike, do you guys have any questions, comments? Scott, yes.
I just had one question for staff. Brian, where do we sit in the site plan review process for this application?
Through the chair, Mr. Hanna, Mr. Saylor is on the call, so he may be better able to answer that question for me.
Through the chair, the site plan has been submitted, but it's still under review and some revisions will still take place.
Yeah, I noted that condition 2 reads June 1st of 2023, which is a year and a half away. Is that a typo? Should that have read 2022, or will you need that long to approve this site plan?
We just built in the extra time just in case anything else could arise, but the goal would be for it to be done more quickly than 2023.
Okay, well, I'll leave it as is, but I just wondered if there was something really confusing about this one. So.
Okay, any further comments, questions from the committee? Seeing none, does someone want to make a motion on this?
I have nothing further to add. And I would move that this application be approved as recommended by staff.
Okay, seconder? Scott, all in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. That's done that. Okay. Next application is minor variance application 2021-131 95 Maitland. And I will draw the committee's attention to, bear with me a second. There was some recent information that came in yesterday. And I I have it here somewhere, updated written submission, 95 Maitland. Did the other committee members get this written submission? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. This is quite an extensive list of, I'm going on addresses, neighbors all up and down the street who are in support of this application. That's nice to see. I'm glad to see when neighbors all like each other and get along. I've gone through this. I think it's fairly straightforward. I want to make sure that there's no retail pickup in this for this application. And I also note that there's no concerns from the region or the GRCA. So other than that, does the committee have any questions?
Through the chair, my
Yes.
apologies. Before we get to the committee's questions, we do have two delegations in opposition.
Okay. I see that, yes.
Jennifer Gregory on the line.
Jennifer Gregory and Wayne Fulford. Okay. Maybe at this point, we will hear from those who are in opposition to this. Would be Jennifer or Gregory, or Jennifer or Wayne.
Yes. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me today. I live directly beside the Sharma family. We live at 99 Maitland, my husband and I, and our family. We've been the original owners of the home since 2006, one of the first homes built on Maitland Street. Our current neighbors, the Sharma family, are the third family to live in that home. And we've had no major issues with any of the families, including the Sharmas. We get along very well with them. They are very lovely, kind people. We don't have any issues with them personally. We just don't want to have a restaurant beside our home. We've been witnessing that there has been food that has been being picked up out of the home over the last couple of years. I understand that they're saying that they are wanting provisions to open up a catering establishment, and I'm curious to know what the definition of that catering establishment is, because that's not what I've seen. That's not what other neighbors have seen. I understand a lot of neighbors are in agreement to this. I'm not sure if the other neighbors are directly beside, but we've been directly impacted in several ways that I'm looking to discuss today. So I guess my first question is, if it's a catering business, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that you are only allowing them to make food in their home and to go and deliver that? I understand that on their Facebook site, as of July 3rd, 2019, they said they were open for business for a delivery service. However, we have seen people come to pick up packages of food with takeout containers, and that's an issue and a concern for us. There's many different issues. First of all, this is a residential area. This is not an area for restaurants. We've been here since 2006, and you know, there are families here. There are tons of children. We have small children. Having more vehicles come into this area to come and pick up food is a concern for me, especially living directly beside the family. Having this approved, from my understanding, makes this application, if this application is approved, this allows other people in the community to open up a business in their home, a catering establishment, and to allow people to run a small business out of their home making food. So what if my neighbors next door, an Irish family, wants to open an Irish pub beside me? What if my other neighbor wants to open up a karaoke studio? I mean, where are we drawing the line in a residential area when, you know, not even a minute down the road, there is an opportunity on a commercial zoning property in our area to open up a restaurant? We already have an issue with traffic on our street. We are pretty much in the middle of Maitland. And Maitland, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with the area, but Maitland is one of the throughway streets that goes out to the major streets. So we get a lot of traffic that are taking a different route to get out to the main roads. We've already had a couple children who have almost been hit by a vehicle. There's been one child who was hit by a vehicle backing out of a driveway. We've got tons of vehicles on the road already. And the family already has 3 vehicles in their driveway at all times. I'm not sure how the city is planning on, I mean, I've read the whatever I don't know what you call it, the proposal, or I've read how you guys have gone out to check out the site. However, the garage has been used, which goes into my next issue. The garage has been used for cooking for this family for the last couple of years, which has been an issue for us as well, considering we have a rat issue in our neighborhood. There has been rat traps set up in their garage. That poses a huge concern for me. I mean, you want to make food for yourself, for your family, but you want to make food for other people in the community when you have rat traps set up beside a propane burner that you're cooking a large amount of food on. You have rat traps beside a stove that you're cooking food on. That poses a huge concern for me. I understand that they're using their basement. We did see that they did put a vent on the side of the house that vents over to our property. The way that the houses are, if you see on the proposal, their house is here and our house is set back a little, so their fans blow directly onto our back porch. We've had issues of having, you know, just being outside and the overpowering smell of the onions that they've been cooking. I mean, I love a plate of fried onions, but when you've got a massive vat in, you know, on a propane burner that you're cooking, and you're cooking a 50-pound bag of onions, that's a little bit different. So that has a direct impact on us. I mean, I understand that the picture that I just saw this morning of the kitchen that has been prepared for this, it appears to me that, you know, that's a regular stove. If you're catering food, is it being catered just to 1 or 2 families, or are we talking about a large amount of food that's being prepared at one time? And if that is, how is that kitchen, a regular kitchen, handling that? What type of fire suppression do they have in the case of fire when our home is not even 10 feet away from their home? So where are those proper ventilations, proper fire suppression, proper utilization of an industrial kitchen if we're talking about a catering establishment? Because a catering establishment definition, you know, needs to be established within this, rather than just, oh, they're going to put a catering establishment in and they're going to prepare some food and go and deliver this to people.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here at the moment. You've raised some very, very good questions, some which are addressed in the report. I'm wondering if maybe Mr. Bateman can explain to the applicant and the committee what the difference between a catering service and a restaurant is.
Through the chair. So a restaurant means a place where food and or drink is prepared and sold at retail for immediate consumption, either on or off site, in which may offer commercial entertainment only if the premises are licensed under the Liquor License Act. So I think that's what we think of as a traditional type restaurant. A catering business, in particular in a home occupation situation, it is defined as a premises used for the preparation of food or beverages on site, strictly for the consumption of products off site.
Okay, I think that clarifies that. I think we will need, even though it's in the definition of catering service, I think we would need an extra condition in there to solidify that this is for service out of the home, and there'll be no retail pickup or takeout. So I think we need an extra condition there to address one of the concerns from the applicant, Jennifer. The conditions of of approval or potential approval on this is that all food preparation must be done in the basement, and that the existing gas stove in the garage is to be removed. Excuse me, it must be removed by April of next year. So those are, I think, addressing some of your questions. I see the applicant has his hand raised and would like to make some comments, but first you're going to have to unmute your microphone.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I just want to point out that I think there's a misunderstanding if it's a restaurant or it's a catering business. It's actually a catering business. We're going to be delivering it. We're going to be delivering to the customers that we have due to, like Jennifer said, due to Maitland being crowded and all the kids around us. And another thing is that the stove that we had in our garage is currently removed. It's been removed since they came in and inspected everything. And our kitchen is downstairs. We're going to be cooking downstairs. There's actually 10-15 customers that we're going to have. So it's going to be cooked for 10-15 people, no more larger, none of that.
And another question, we just cook just rice and vegetables and that's it. And just bread, that's it.
It's just bread that we're going to be cooking, the traditional bread, just vegetables and just rice. It's going to be prepared. Everything's going to be packed and we're going to go out and deliver it. There's going to be no one like coming outside to pick up food. And I know Jennifer pointed how like we used to cook in the garage, but we don't know more because
that's why we got the kitchen in the basement to have everything preparation professionally.
And for the safety concern too, that's why we shifted over to the basement. We renovated the whole base, like half of the basement. We installed a new stove, fridge. We have basically everything's new.
Also, we have the pest control all over the house to coming the animals in the house, like the rats kind of things. It's already pest control done with a professional company.
And that's all we have to say.
Okay, I'll jump in here, and that seems to address pretty well the conditions from the neighbor, Jennifer. You'd like to comment again, Jennifer? Go ahead.
So I'd just like to understand my concerns about the fire suppression. And I'd also like to know about proper disposal of food waste. I understand, 10 to 15 different people making food for is not a huge amount, but I mean, I have a family of 3 and we fill up 2 green bins a week, including our pet waste. So my question is I haven't seen any extra bins for food disposal. So I'm curious as to the food disposal because one of my other concerns is the food being thrown out to the back of the property because we back onto green space in a pond area. And so I'm curious to know about the food disposal and just want to confirm that there will not be food being disposed of in the back. We've already had issues. I've talked to Dimple about them throwing their waste out along the trail. I mean, they still have 2 bags of yard waste that they had dumped on the path that neighbors have been communicating about, that they've been upset on the community forum. So I just want to know about proper food disposal and waste and how we're going to manage that.
I think that's a little out of the scope of the Committee of Adjustment as to food waste disposal. That might be a different bylaw. Does Mr. Bateman want to comment on this? I don't think it's something for the Committee of Adjustment.
Well, to the chair, it's a good question. No, I would say it does not either. Certainly, I don't think from the city's perspective, we would condone dumping food waste. That's something that we wouldn't want. It should, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that becomes a bylaw enforcement issue as opposed to a planning issue. Any comments from the committee? Scott, you have something.
I have a question for the applicant, and then I think I have a question for staff too. just to the applicants, is this a family-run business, or do you have people coming from outside to assist?
This is actually a family-run business. It's gonna be run like my mom's the owner, then my dad, and then I play in just to deliver the food, and that's pretty much it. And can I also talk about the waste that Jennifer mentioned before? Yeah. So about the waste. So we actually don't throw our waste into the green yard, our food thing. We just throw it into the green bin, and we don't really have that much waste because we use up all our product. And another thing is that actually, so at our backyard we had a little like garden at the back of the fence where like the green thing, and the city talked to us, and we respect the back, so we cleaned up all the little garden vegetables that we had in the back. So there's no problem. Like, we don't throw our waste. We don't do none of that. I just wanted to point out that like, yeah, pretty much like we respect the green yard that we have behind our back.
Follow-up question then to Brian. Would the definition of home-based business for catering, does it include the allowance for external employees?
Through the chair, my understanding is no.
Okay, excellent. That helps me with one of my items. The situation with the gas stove, I think, has been answered, but the applicant said that it's all been cleared up. Could you confirm, Brian, if that's the case? There has been an inspection?
Through the chair, just back to your previous question about home occupation, I was mistaken. I was wrong, actually, Mr. Hanna. There's one employee that would be allowed.
Yeah, I thought that was the case. So
Yeah,
if the committee does approve this, I'm going to suggest another condition, Mr. Chairman, that there be no outside employees allowed, so that the scale, because I'm concerned about the scale. We're talking basically 700 square feet here, so it's quite the operation. It is almost like a takeout restaurant, but I liked your condition as well. So those are my comments for now.
Okay.
For the chair.
Yeah, Mike, you have a comment.
I will defer to Jennifer, who raised a quick point there. I'll let her speak again.
Through the chair, if I may suggest, unless Ms. Gregory has any additional concerns to be raised, we typically don't recommend too much of a back and forth between the applicant and any other meeting attendees. And I would just remind the committee that they do have one more delegation in opposition to this matter.
Okay, maybe the best thing is we hear from the third delegate on this application, if they are here. That would be Mr. Fulford, Wayne Fulford.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. We've moved into this neighborhood about 7 years ago. It's a great neighborhood. It's a residential neighborhood, as you know. I don't want to repeat everything that Jennifer said. I agree with everything she said, and most of those were the points that I had. But the other thing is that they say that they don't throw anything out back, and when there's a trail and a wetland out back, and out back there's the bush that goes across, and it's starting to obscure our view. They had a company come in and cut down the trees and dispose of it. They disposed of it. They just threw it in the wetland where they say they haven't thrown it. They said that this is for a better view. I would imagine it's a better view for people to come in as they're picking up food, to look out back and see it. Those bags are still decomposing back there. And so as far as throwing food out and saying they're not, they are. I have a couple of people now that have talked to me that are awaiting the outcome of this meeting so that they can possibly pursue the same avenue that they're going down, and they're neighbors of ours. So this snowball is starting to get a little bit larger. Once we have one on the street, we're going to have another and another and another. And there's people, we've witnessed people going in and picking up food. It's not a delivery service per se. It's a pickup and maybe delivery, but mostly it's people coming in and picking food up. We expected to move into a residential area, like I said, and not have commercial. There's a restaurant just down the street on I forget the name of the street, but it's in a complex, and it's an East Indian restaurant, and it's properly done. What's the problem with moving out into a brick and mortar store and setting up a restaurant there instead of in our neighborhood of Huron Village? I mean, it's Huron Village. It's a residential area. Like I said, I can't say that enough. It's not zoned for restaurants. And I don't know what's going to stop other people from doing this. And as far as out back, when they had the bush sprayed, those chemicals went to the pond. The next door neighbor thought it was a great idea, so they did the same thing. My view is obscurity. Within 5 years, I won't see the pond, but I'm not going out because you're not allowed to cut it down. So what they say now about the restaurant isn't always going to hold true. They've been flying under the radar now for quite a while with this restaurant. And I noticed they have 30 likes. They said they have 10 people or 15 people. They have 30 likes now. If this gets approved, it will just increase. And the traffic coming into that place will be doubled at least. They know they can do it.
Okay, I think the applicant has a response to that. Go ahead, Mr. Dimple.
Like I said before, it's not a restaurant, it's actually catering. We actually, a year ago when we started it up, we didn't really know the rules to it. So yes, we did have people come in. That was nearly a year ago. But if now we haven't even touched the business, we haven't even served to anybody. And like you said about the 30 likes, like it's a Facebook post. Of course, people are gonna like it. It doesn't depend on how many customers you have. That's how many likes you're gonna get. It all just varies who sees it, who likes it, who's interested into your thing. And another thing, like you said, yeah, so the back, like I don't want to keep repeating myself, but we do not throw like our food waste into the back and all of that.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here. We're just going back and forth. I think most of the questions raised by, I don't see her anymore here, Jennifer, I guess it was, have been addressed. It is clear this is going to be a takeout only catering service. There's going to be no retail pickup as an extra condition that we've put in. So if there isn't any further comments, I think we need to move ahead. Scott, you have a comment.
Yeah, I'm going to make a couple comments just for the benefit of the residents, and I appreciate your input. Clearly, the scale of this particular operation is getting to the point where it's close to being problematic. But I note in the report, and we've had this before, that even though the catering service is not allowed by the current bylaw, it would be allowed by the future bylaw. So that has me saying that the individuals that operate this should be allowed. So I am going to be prepared to support it, but I think there needs to be extra conditions, including the 4 that we see here now. I think there should be no non-resident employee to ensure that the scale doesn't get too big, and no pickup of food. And those are my comments, Mr. Chairman.
Just writing this down. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Mike, do you have any further comments?
Yes, just one, I suppose it's to the applicants, but have you registered this operation with Waterloo, Regional Waterloo Health Unit, and have you become subject to their regular inspection process? And if not, why not?
Get the inspection, right?
Yes, sir. It's already got the inspection done by the city hall. They came and they they said there's a stove in the garage that needs to be moved. It's already has been removed. And once we got the zoning approval, then the health people are coming to inspect everything. That's the next step we are taking.
Yeah, I think that's the normal process. So what we have here, generally, I believe, is we'll have to wait and have a motion and take a vote. But it's been amended to 2 extra conditions: that there'll be no retail pickup, it'll be takeout, it'll be delivery only, and there'll be no non-resident employee in the organization. So that's the recommendation as amended. Do we have a motion on that? Scott?
Yeah, I'm prepared to move it, Mr. Chairman. And again, it's one that's kind of gone back and forth, but I think with the extra conditions imposed and proper inspections by staff, it should be okay.
So is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Do we have a seconder? seconded by Mike. All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, that's got that one done. Next application is A 2021-132, 26 Mont Eagle Crescent. Is the applicant here? That would be Ray or Joseph or Amir, I believe. No, I'm confused here. It's just the one. Just Ray Coleman. Is Ray Coleman present? I see.
Yes.
There is. Okay. So, Mr. Coleman, have you read the staff report on this application?
Yes.
Any concerns?
No, seemed pretty straightforward.
I see that there's support from the neighbors, adjacent neighbors at 24 and 28. And there's no concerns from the region or the GRCA. I don't have any further questions. Anything from the committee? Scott?
No, other than to say this is a very interesting intensification application and it seems to fit nicely in the area. So I'm going to support when the time comes.
Thank you.
Mike, any comments?
There's no comments from staff or the applicant as to whether this residence is on its own independent services, including sanitary and electrical. Is it got its own sanitary system, or is it connected to the main residence in Summer Garden? Do you have a comment?
So through the chair, that'll be determined through the site plan process that they'll have to go through on this. My understanding is they need to connect it from their house on this, so it sounds like they're aware of it. So that's the normal course for these, rather than independent services.
Okay, I think that's addressed that concern. Anything further? Seeing nothing, is someone on the committee prepared to make a motion?
I'm prepared, given the comments, to make a motion to recommending approval of this application as submitted.
Okay, seconder? All in favor? Carried. Okay, where are we here now? That's been done. Okay, next application is A 2021-133, 12 East Lansdowne. The owner is, where are we here? East Lansdowne. Okay. The owner or the applicant is Amir. Did I say that? Is Amir right?
Yeah, it's Amr. Yeah, it's pretty
Amr?
close.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
no problem.
Have you read the staff report on this application?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any concerns?
No.
Okay, no concerns. I do have one concern, and this is a question to staff. In the recommendation, it's saying that to allow a required parking space to be 1.0 meters from the street line. Whereas when I look at the drawing, it actually, where's the drawing here? I think it's 1.37. Yeah. Okay. So we would need to change that from 1.0 meter to 1.37.
Yeah, we just to put it like 1 meter, just in case any change in the angles or the measurements is site measurements. So just in case we have like, a tolerance for it. That's all.
So you would prefer that to remain as the 1.0 and as not per the drawing?
Yeah, because there is an angle on the street. So yeah, it might be on one side, it's 1 meter, on the other side, 137. Yes.
Any further comments or questions from the committee? Scott?
I'm prepared to move the recommendation, Mr. Chairman. This is just to recognize an existing situation. There will be 2 parking spaces side by side, and It's an excellent house to be duplex. So again, I would make a motion that the application be approved, subject to the staff recommendation.
Is there a seconder? Seconded by Mike. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Okay, that's that one. Next application is A 2021-134, 715 Frederick Street. Owner is Joseph Curvan. Is Joseph here? I think I see him by phone.
Yes, through the chair, just to confirm, he is joining by phone.
Okay. If Mr. Curvan would unmute his microphone, we can carry on. I'm wondering if Mr. Curvan is having technical difficulties. Hopefully, Mr. Curvan, if you can hear me, you have to unmute the microphone on your computer screen. Or Sarah, can you do it on your end?
Through the chair, I am attempting to prompt him to unmute. He has been given permission to talk. I would suggest that if we give him another minute or so, and then if he's not available, perhaps we could move on to the next item for now, and I'll reach out to him directly.
Okay, I'll get my stopwatch going and we'll give him 30 seconds. And if not, then we'll set this aside and move on to the next one. Okay, obviously having some technical difficulties. We will set this application aside and hopefully Mr. Curvan can get those issues resolved. We're now going to move on to application A 2021-135, 1572 Highland Road West. There's no one in opposition, just the one person, Ryan Hicks. Is Mr. Hicks here? I see him. There he is.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Hicks, have you read the staff report on this?
Yes, I have.
Do you have any comments or questions?
No, we do not.
Okay, I had just an interesting comment. Most of the applications we get is for reduced parking as opposed to quite a large amount over what is permitted by the bylaw. Maybe a question for staff. Would this parking requirement meet the new bylaw, Crosby?
Through the chair, for the maximum, no, we have minimums and maximums in the new bylaw, Mr. McCall, just so you're aware. We used to just have minimums, right?
Yeah.
So now that we have the maximums, and the idea, the intent of that is we just don't want over parking of establishments anymore, particularly if they're in an area where they're served by transit. You know, I think it makes sense to try and do that. But in this case, just given the location where they're at, they're not well serviced that way from the transit point of view, and they need it for their employees and their customers. It makes sense for them to have an over parking situation. And hence why we've approved it.
Okay, that makes sense. And of course, if they don't need it, they don't use it. So if they're only going to have 30 or 35 or 38, just extra parking, I think is not a bad idea. There's no agencies concerned with this, GRCA and the region. Any comments from the committee? Scott?
Just had a quick question through you, Mr. Chairman, to the applicant. It mentions a fleet of vehicles. How many are in your fleet?
6 total, including trailers. Six total.
6 total? Okay, that helps to explain the total you're asking for. Then I completely understand now.
Okay.
Okay, any, Mike, do you have any comments?
No, I was gonna just say I'm prepared, given the few comments that we have to make a motion to approve this application as submitted and then nothing. Just,
okay.
I make a motion to move forward and approve.
Is there a seconder for that? Okay, all in favor? Carried.
Great. Thank you.
I am seeing that Mr. Kervin is still here, but still muted. Okay, we'll move on to.
I do have him here. I believe you should be able to speak to him through me. Mr. Kervin, can you just state that you're here and available for the committee? Hello? Mr. Kervin?
Okay, sir, why don't we just put that aside for the
Oh, there he
moment?
is.
Oh, there he is. Okay. Good. Okay, Mr. Kervin.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sorry about, I'm not really good with this technology.
We all have technical challenges. This is just to convert the basement of a duplex into an affordable one bedroom. I think that's a great idea. There's no objections. There's no, the region's not concerned, GRCA is not concerned, and you just need a variance on the lot width. So I think this is a good idea. Any comments from the committee? Scott?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a question for staff. Hopefully, Brian, you can answer it because it relates to engineering. They're indicating that the water service may be undersized. And I like the word may because that tells me that it may not be required, but there's 4 or 3 conditions added that said, you're going to make financial arrangements for the installation of new service connections. I would like to add the word if required to condition 4, because if it's not required, I don't know how you fulfill that that condition. The other 2 I'm happy with, 5 and 6, because obviously he's going to have to prepare a servicing plan to start with and the development asset drawing. But the financial arrangements, I think, should be if required. And that's going to be my suggestion.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea. Mike, do you have any comments?
None.
Okay, so we have a recommendation that is slightly amended to include if required into condition number 4. I don't see any other concerns. Does someone on the committee want to make a motion? Scott?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll certainly make that motion. Again, I think this is a great idea. Another form of intensification that's well suited for this property. And like I say, if the services work out that they don't have to be changed, then there will be no financial arrangements. So
okay,
just adding the words if required to condition 4.
Okay, that's a motion. Mike? Any concerns?
No, none at all. I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. That was, which was that one we did? That was 715 Frederick.
34.
Okay, the next one is application 2021-136, 888 Trillium Drive. Is the applicant here? Yes, I see that. Katie Fitzpatrick, if I said that correctly.
Yep, you did. Yep.
Okay. Have you read the staff report on this application?
I don't know if it came through to us, but I know that there was no issues, so I'm not really concerned.
There's just the one condition. No, there is no condition. No condition. Why did I put one condition? Okay, there's no conditions. The GRCA fee. Yeah, the GRCA is looking for a fee to process this application. So that would be the one condition, to pay the GRCA fee. So it is now amended to include one condition for the GRCA. Any comments from the committee? Scott?
Just had a question for staff and maybe even the applicant. Where do we stand in the site plan approval process for this? The reason I ask is this is a unique application, like it's an expansion of a legal non-conforming use, and we've got an actual figure of a 42% increase. So if it ends up being 43, then they're going to have to come back. So I just want to know, where are we in the site plan process?
Yes, through the chair, the site plan application has been submitted and it's under circulation. I think the applicants have a plan and it is almost solid in place. It has been reviewed for setbacks and other things. So I don't know if there's a danger of it creeping over that. But the site plan has been submitted and it is under review currently.
Okay, that seems fairly straightforward. Any further comments from the committee? Seeing none, Scott.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the school. It's a great private school, and it's in a kind of an industrial area, which is unique. But I'm looking to. I see they're expanding, which is good news for the school. So I'm prepared to support. And again, the only reason I asked the question about the percentage was just to make sure they didn't have to come back. So I'll make that motion.
As amended to include the GRCA fee. Okay, that's the motion. Mike, do you have any comments? You're going to second it. All in favor? Carried. Okay, got that. Next application is A 2021-137, 29 Hearst Avenue. The owner and applicant is Lucas Rowe. Is Lucas here? Yes, I see Lucas.
I'm here.
Okay. Have you read the staff report on this application?
Yes, I have.
Any concerns?
No.
Okay. Duplex to triplex. I see that the GRCA fee has already been received. I'm wondering, maybe to staff, whether we put in the traditional line of the applicant should apply for a building permit. Comment from staff?
Through the chair, he is required to do site plan approval, in which case that will trigger the building permit. So I think it's redundant personally, but I'll leave that up to you.
If it's going to go through site plan, we don't need to put in that extra. I don't think we need to put in that extra condition. So having said that, the applicant has no concerns. Committee members, Scott, Mike, any questions, comments?
No, I have no concerns about this application and would be prepared to move for approval.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Scott, all in favor? Carried. Next application is 945 Victoria Street, application number A 2021-138. The applicant is Ms. von Westerholt, who is there. I'm going to pause the meeting just a moment. Good to see you, Julianne. Again, and we saw you here just recently. Just have a Merry Christmas to you and your whole family.
Thanks
So having said that, we'll move ahead with the application. There's no agencies involved. All permit and demo permit applications are going to be done through site plan. Although the variances are somewhat substantial, I think they are within the line of reasonably provable here. Okay, any comments from the committee? Scott.
It's a question for staff. Brian, what's the status of the site plan? Are we close? It's conditionally approved?
Through the chair, my understanding is yes, it is closed. They've worked through a lot of the design issues, so I think it's close.
Okay. And then a quick question for the applicant. That's quite the stacking lane there. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 13 cars. Are you able to indicate what the use might be?
For you, Mr. Chair, I believe my client is not in attendance. Basically, the use it's a restaurant, proposed restaurant use. So I think that's the reason for the number of stacked vehicles there.
I asked that question simply. I know you're adjacent to a kind of the rear yard parking area of the adjacent property, which may get redeveloped. So I'm just worried about idling. That's all. But if the city staff thinks there's 13 stacking spaces required, I guess I'll go along with it.
Okay. Mike, any comments, questions?
Oh, I'm just, I suppose, just a curiosity, with the zero setback on the front street actually puts us how close to the actual roadway? Obviously, we're not up against the curb there. There'd be a fair sidewalk and setback, wouldn't there? I'm just concerned about, comfortably using a patio that's that close to traffic.
I think that's a good question. Brian, do you have any comments on that?
Well, it's my, through the chair, it's my understanding there's quite a substantial boulevard between the property line and the roadway that acts as that buffer. So I think staff is comfortable in recommending that that variance for that reason.
I'm inclined to agree, and this will be going through site plan anyway, so that might be discussed at that time. Any further comments from the committee? Seeing none, I'll call for a motion.
I'm prepared to make a motion that the application be approved, subject to the one condition.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Seconded by Scott. All in favor? Motion is carried. And again, hopefully, Julianne, we will see you again on the computer screen and maybe hopefully in the future in person. So that motion is carried.
Thank you very much. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next one is application A 2021-139-938 Strasbourg. And the owner, catch this on this one, Strasbourg. It looks like a whole family of the Despotovic, if I pronounced that correctly. I see the applicant is here. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to read the staff report on this?
Yes, I did.
Any comments, questions, concerns?
I believe it's straightforward.
Yeah, it is. And there's really only one condition at this point. Any comments from the committee members? Scott.
Just a quick one for the applicant, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to assume this is like a hair salon or some other personal service. Are you going to be dealing with clients one at a time?
It's a nail salon, actually.
Okay.
For nails, and one at a time.
Perfect, because you're converting a garage, so you'll be parking in the driveway. Okay.
To tell you honestly, in my garage, I have nothing. It was empty space. So I have daughter who finished a course for that and trying to help her out. So.
Okay.
Any further questions? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to say this is fairly straightforward. What I need is a motion from a committee member. Scott?
Yep, I'm prepared to move the application. It's an excellent probably location for this on a main street, Strasbourg. I just wanted to understand how the clients was going to work, just because I don't think there's much parking on the street. So I'm prepared to make a motion to approve.
Is there a seconder? Mike? Seconded by Mike. All in favor? Carry it.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, next one is minor variance application A 2021-140, 630 Benninger Drive, Activa Holdings. Would that be Rachel Wolf? Are you representing here? Do I have that here? Yes, I see that. Yes. Okay, I'm a little confused on this one. And I'm wondering if the applicant can quickly walk us through what the applicant is actually planning to do with this property. So could you walk us through the application?
Absolutely. So the applicant is proposing to build stacked townhouses on the property, as well as in phase 2, there'll be a mixed use commercial use, and to satisfy the mixed use zoning. And as such, we're asking that the ground floor height for the stacked towns is reduced to 3 meters, opposed to the 4.5 meters that would be required for commercial uses in that area, as they are just going to be for residential use.
I see. Okay. That addresses most of my concerns. Does the committee have any questions, concerns, comments? Scott?
Yeah, I've got a couple for staff through you, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Bateman. Clearly the zoning here was set up as a mixed use zone so that the floor to ceiling height on the first floor would be 15 feet, 4.5 meters. I guess staff are being a little more flexible to allow a small commercial component on the side. But when I look at the site plan, I'm confused as to whether, because the retail component looks very, very tiny, and I just want to make sure that ultimately it gets built. And there's a parking area that looks like it's part of phase 1, but is that intended to be for the retail component?
Through the chair, I'll be honest with you, Scott, I don't even have that site plan, so I can't verify that for sure. I mean, certainly I don't know if Mr. Dumark's on the call. I don't think he is.
Perhaps the applicant can address that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And through you, Mr. Chair, yes, the intention for those commercial spaces is that they're provided in phase 1, and that they will be reserved for those commercial uses.
Okay, so if there's ever a potential severance, you'll have a right of way for the residential component?
Absolutely. And the intention is that it will be all one condo development, and that the commercial area will be a second phase to that same condo.
I asked the question, Mr. Chairman, because too often in my planning career, I've seen mixed use zones get demoed by pure residential over time. And I just want to ensure that there is a commercial component here. So I will be following this one closely. Just letting staff know that.
Okay.
Anyway, I have no issue with the variances. Obviously the stacked towns are not going to be 15 feet high on the main level. So, and I fully support the setback variance. So.
Okay. Mike, do you have any comments, concerns?
No, they've been addressed by Scott. Thank you. In that regard, I am prepared then to bring a motion to recommend approval of the application. There are no additional conditions to consider, so I move that it be approved as submitted.
Is there a seconder? Seconded by Scott. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, Ms. Wolf. You can go ahead with your development. Sounds like an interesting one.
Thank you very much. And happy holidays to all.
To you and your family as well.
Thank you.
Okay, next application, consent application, B 2021-063, 11 East Avenue. And I see the applicant is Mackenzie Struiker. Okay.
Yeah.
I apologize. I'm not a great linguist on pronunciation. Okay. Have you really, this is very straightforward. It's a very skinny, slender conveyance, severance conveyed to the neighbor for better rear yard access. There's no comments from the GRCA. There's nothing from the region. I think this is fairly straightforward. So to Does the applicant have any comments on the staff?
I do have a question and a comment. Question about conditions 5 and 6. I'm assuming those are to do with the parallel building application. I just haven't seen those on this type of application before.
I believe you're correct.
And then my comment is on condition 7. The garage has already gone through a permit and been demolished. It's no longer there. So that one doesn't need to exist.
Okay, well, seeing you've already met that requirement, I'm not sure we need it. Any comment from the committee members? Scott?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that question about condition 7, and I'll ask it of staff because I think the garage has been removed. My other question for staff is the conveyance will leave 2.7 meters for this property to probably be a driveway to access parking in the rear. In my previous life, 3 meters was the requirement. Is 2.7 now the requirement, Brian? For a driveway access?
For driveway access?
Yeah.
I'm just verifying that.
I mean, it's nice that neighbors are getting along. I just don't want to create a situation where the property owner here is actually less than required.
The parking
2.6 meters, Scott. Sorry.
Say again?
2.6.
Okay, thanks. Perfect.
Did the applicant have a comment or question?
No.
Okay. Anything further from the committee?
Brian, did you address condition 7? Do we need that? I don't think we do.
I have no way of verifying that other than to take his word for it.
I was by the site. It's not there.
Okay, and yours. Yeah, it's just the building department asked for it, right? So we were just inclined to include it. So,
okay.
I mean, if we could include it, and if it's gone, it's gone. It's easy to clear off, right?
Okay.
I think I'm going to agree with Mr. Bateman on this. If it's already been cleared, then it's irrelevant, but it would be nice to have it there just in case. Okay, any further comments from the committee? Seeing none, I'll call for a motion.
Well,
I can't
nobody
move
else
it.
is going to move, Mr. Chairman. I'm prepared to move the application. Like I say, it's nice that neighbors are getting along, and this is going to kind of equalize the separation between dwellings, and the neighbor to the south will have more room to provide access to his rear yard. So again, I will support the application subject to the 7 conditions.
Okay, seconder for that. Mike, okay, moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Next application is a consent application, B 2021-064, 500 Carn Street. 500 Carn Street, did I have that here? Yes.
Hello.
I guess Mr. Pele is here.
Yes. Hello.
Morning. Yes. Okay. That's the let me see. Only in support. Okay. To the applicant, have you read the staff report?
Yes, I did.
Any questions or comments?
No, no concerns.
Okay. I see in the report that the parkland dedication has been paid, and the region fee has already been covered in the conditions, and there's nothing from the GRCA. So any questions or comments from the committee? Apparently not. Okay. I think this is fairly straightforward. We need Scott.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, reading the report, this was a previous consent that was approved, and the applicant just failed to clear all of the conditions within the 1-year time period. So I'm prepared to approve it again, subject to the conditions recommended by staff.
And Mike?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion received and seconded. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Bear with me a second here. The next application is consent application B 2021-065, 154 to 156 Strange Street, which up until last night was going to be deferred, but as per a new submission this morning, oh, bear with me here. Okay. So you want to move ahead on this application. I will make a comment that it is noted in the new staff report that the Parkland dedication of $7,056 and a few cents has not yet been paid. I think, Aubin, you have to look after that. So
yes, we will take care of all the outstanding conditions, even though most of them are already taken care of. As far as the engineering goes, as you saw on the photographs provided, construction is well underway, but all the outstanding issues will be taken care of in the shortest possible time.
Okay. Any comments from the committee members? Scott.
Just a comment or a question for staff. I guess this was just a little bit of a faux pas that the original consent wasn't endorsed before the permit was issued. Mr. Bateman?
Through the chair, I've got Mr. Tully Roots could probably answer that question better than I could.
Okay.
Yep, through the chair. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, this one got a little bit messy because the original approval from last year, which created the single detached lot, those conditions lapsed. And as well, there was the issue around the building permits being issued as well. So this just simply cleans that up.
And just to follow up then, I was never in favor of checkerboarding when it came to consent application, but you guys are comfortable with just severing the middle lot to create the retained on both sides?
Through the chair, no, this is an exception just to clean up a somewhat messy situation to try to make it as simple as possible for the city and the applicant.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, any further comments or questions from the committee? Seeing none, I'll call for a motion. Mike.
I am prepared to move for acceptance of the now application and removing the deferred recommendation from the report.
Okay, seconder for that. Okay, before I call a vote, just to the applicant, one of my pet concerns in life is Parkland. I'm hoping it's not a condition, but I'm hoping you get that cleaned up with the city quite quickly. So there's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. All in favor? Carried.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I apologize for the interruption, but we have received a request from a 2021-136 for 888 Trillium Drive. The agent with respect to the matter has asked if the committee might reconsider the decision today to increase the gross floor area. If it is of the committee's will to hear her request, I will promote her now so that she can speak further to this matter.
Have to give me a minute to find that application. Well, in the meantime, what about committee members on reopening? What's your opinion on reopening a file that we've dealt with?
Mr. McConnell, Mr. Chairman, I fully support reopening. That was one of my concerns because it's an extension of a legal non-conforming use that we get the square footage correct or give them flexibility. So I'm happy to reopen.
see where I can find that. Where is that? Okay, this is for 888 Trillium Drive. Is that correct, Sarah?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, a little unusual, but let's open it up for discussion again. To the applicant, what's your concerns?
Hi, sorry, I just raised my hand and I wasn't sure if I was able to speak or not. I did want to comment on what Scott had mentioned. We want to potentially increase it to 50% just to give us flexibility, because I am concerned that we will have a little bit of here and there that's going to work through site plan process.
So it's an amendment from 42% to 50%.
Yes.
I don't see any problem with that. Scott, does that address your concerns that you mentioned when this came before us a few minutes ago?
As long as staff are okay with that, there seems to be room on the, well, what I call the south side of the building to increase the square footage without dealing with parking and other kind of amenity areas. But I just want to make sure staff is okay with 50%.
Through the chair, Mr. Schneider's on the call, but I understand that he's okay with increasing that to 50%. Eric, do you want to add anything to that?
No, that's well within a reasonable amount.
Okay, seeing that seems to address what the applicant has wanted, and it seems straightforward to me. It addresses what Scott wanted. So Scott, you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if we increase it to 50%, I'm not a mathematician, so that would obviously be different square meters in, of GFA. Can we ask staff to fill in the blanks there as far as the size goes after we do this?
Yeah, I think we can.
Okay, so I'm prepared to move an amendment to the original recommendation to allow for an addition to expand the legal non-conforming use of this educational establishment of 50%.
Okay, I think that's pretty good. Mike, do you have any comment? Okay, seeing nothing. Scott, did you make a motion?
I did so, sir. Thank you.
Okay, a seconder, seconded by Mike, all in favor. Okay.
Thanks very much.
I have to try and get these done all at once. Okay. Next application is
Through the chair, I apologize. I believe there is an error in your chair notes before you. I believe the next application should be B 2021-066 for Benton Street, but I have neglected to note that properly in your chair notes.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got it here, the application in front of me. Let me put those over there. Yeah, this is looks like quite an interesting application. I really like the idea of the rooftop amenity space. That's good. There's nothing from the region. There's nothing from the GRCA. There's some easements, access easements for the loading bay and pedestrian vehicle access to the loading bay. The applicant, is the applicant here? Is the applicant here?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, it's Kristen Barrisdale from GSP Group. I'm actually here on behalf of Chris Pigeon.
Okay. Okay. You to the applicant, I'm sure you've read the staff report, and do you have any comments or questions?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, not at all. I've had a chance to review the staff report and recommendations, and we agree with the recommendations of staff.
Sounds good. Any further comments from the committee? Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a question of either staff or the applicant, and I just want to make sure the numbers are correct. I'm having a hard time understanding how one story equates to 11.5 meters or 40 feet. Because we're going from 45 meter height to 56.55. So can somebody help me understand how one story ends up being 40 feet?
Through the chair, the rooftop amenity is on the mechanical penthouse. So that is a greater height than a regular story. So we calculated the building height, the total building height originally to 45 meters, which would be to the top level of the living unit. So that would be the ceiling of the last living unit. But the mechanical penthouse is a lot greater than a standard residential story. So by putting the rooftop amenity, which is also considered living space in a way. We have to count that towards the building height. So the entire mechanical penthouse ends up being counted. So that's why it results in that number.
It's really a technicality.
Correct.
Okay. And I couldn't decipher what was going on with the easements, but according to what I read in the report, they're obviously required. So I'm gonna, when the time comes, I will fully support the application.
Okay. Mike, do you have any questions, comments?
No, not at all. Just happy to see that that project is rapidly moving forward and that that whole lot will become vibrant once again.
Yeah,
And so
it's been a long time in getting here. Okay. Any further questions, comments from staff or the applicant? If I don't see any, call for a motion. Scott.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Having heard the explanation about the rooftop and the height, I am prepared to move both the minor variance and the consent for easement as per the staff recommendation.
Is there a seconder? Seconded by Mike. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Have a happy holiday.
You too.
Okay, the next application is for consent application B 2021 and B 067 and 068, and a couple of minor variance applications for 4775 Charles and 4250 Eby Street. Is the applicant here? It would look like, yes, Brandon Flewelling from the GST Group. Good morning, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. McCall, members of the committee. I am here along with also here as necessary are Mr. Al Hayes from the Walter Fady Group and Mr. Stephen Swatridge, project manager from the House of Friendship. We've read the staff report and the recommendations, the conditions noted therein, and we have no concerns with the report and recommendations as put forward, but we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, sounds good. Actually, I have a question for staff. I've noticed when we get these sometimes, but not very often, there's a request from Bell Canada. In the past, we have sometimes acknowledged these. In other cases, we've said no. So what is staff's comments on the notes from Bell?
Well, through the chair, typically we can deal with Bell through the site plan process. So I think that's something we can defer to that process, to be honest with you. But we've got Mr. Saylor on the line, who's the author of the report, and I believe he's working on the site plans as well. He could probably be maybe a little better able to answer that question for you.
I think that's a good idea. Mr. Saylor, do you have a comment on the notification from Bell?
Yeah, through the through the chair, as Brian mentioned, it will be dealt with through the site plan application. So any requirements that Bell have at that time, we will look at when we do the review. A full site plan application has not been submitted as of yet, but I have been told it is forthcoming. But we'll get to that when it gets to that point.
Okay, that answers my question there. I do have another question, and the list of conditions, quite a long list. The region has asked for a consent review fee for both properties. So that is going to be a total of $700. I think the applicant would know that. Yep. You know that you have to pay the region $700. Okay. Yep. And it's covered off under the conditions. So those are my concerns. Only there's nothing from the GRCA. We've dealt with Bell. Any comments or questions from other committee members? Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got a few questions for staff. I found the report a little bit difficult to read because there there wasn't reference to the total number of units being created or the total number of parking spaces. So if somebody could confirm for me how many units are being proposed in the one building and how many exist in the other, that would be wonderful to start.
Yeah, through the chair. 72 units are being proposed in the parcel 1, the properties that are along Charles Street. And I believe there are 22 units that are existing in the property noticed as 75 Charles Street. And maybe the applicant can just verify that for me.
Sure. Thank you, Tim. So there are 72 units proposed. On the line as well, just to triple check, Mr. Stephen Swatridge. Stephen, could you confirm the number of existing units, just to make sure we have that right?
Yes, there's, I think Tim was referring to 22 units at Charles Village, which is on the corner of EB and Charles. And if you go around the corner on EB Street is a 9-story, 56-unit affordable housing building as well.
And how many total parking spaces are being provided?
So through the chair, there are, for the property that exists on 75 Charles, there are 7 spaces currently in existence for the building. They are being relocated to the other side to be entranced off of EB Street, and 7 spaces will remain. They are required to have 35 spaces, but like I said, the 7 spaces have existed for some time. As for the new building, 134 spaces are required through the bylaw, but they are providing only 39 spaces.
Okay, and then I'm going to assume that a lot of these are going to be shared spaces, because if I do the maths, 39 for 72 is closer to 0.05, and yet the recommendation is for 0.2.
Through the chair, so the parking calculation was done for the residential units, the office units, and the health office component. So with the 3 calculations, it equal to the number of spaces, the 39 spaces. Most of the residents that will be at this facility is going to be in affordable housing units and don't have access to a personal vehicle. So the parking calculation per resident or per residential unit will be reduced significantly.
Okay, and one of my questions has already been answered. There is no site plan application yet. So what is the risk that this is going to come back to us for more variances?
Through the chair, perhaps I could respond to that. We've got all the documentation for the site plan application. A digital submission is being made. I found I was hoping to have it in before today, but there was an error on the application form that I just had to tidy up. But we do have a very comprehensive site plan prepared at this point, and we are fairly confident that we've addressed all of the variances that are anticipated or required.
Okay, and a question for staff then. In the recommendation, the way it's worded, it lists requesting relief for X, Y, and Z. One of the relief is for 1 space per 15 square meters for health office, and then it's rather than 1 space per 15 for health office. I've never seen that before. In other words, a variance to me doesn't need to be required for the health office. Can somebody explain that to me?
Through the chair, that would just be an error for the calculation. It is the health office variance wouldn't be specific, but we wanted to include the total number of parking so that the committee members could see what uses are requiring how many parking spaces. So they would have just required 1 through the old bylaw. We just wanted to include that information so you could see that they're still dedicating 1 parking space for the health offices.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I mean, I just, again, found the report very, very confusing and convoluted. I certainly support supportive housing and affordable housing. House of Friendship does a great job. I'm hoping this will work. I'm just concerned that it may come back again to us for another variance. So, but other than that, those are my comments, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Yeah, it is a fairly comprehensive application. And in dealing with two different entities working together to solve a big problem within the city, it does get a little confusing. Mike, do you have any comments, questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. It's answered all my questions. I think it has answered most of Mr. Hanna's questions and concerns. So, and I see that Parkland is going to be done through site plan, which is great. I'd like to see that. And I'm really encouraged to see that these two organizations, wonderful organizations, are combining their efforts to provide affordable housing. Okay, so without further ado, is there a motion on the floor from the committee? Mike.
Yeah, I'm prepared to make a motion. I don't think there's any need for us to make any changes to the recommendations. And so I would make a motion that it be approved as submitted.
Scott?
Yeah, I'll second that. Again, just a comment to staff, I would prefer it have gone through a first round of site plan review, but I fully support the severances, and I hope this is a project that works.
Okay. So that's a motion and a seconder. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Keep up the good work, guys. We need more affordable housing.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Seiler, for your help too.
Okay, and we're now into the last application, which is a consent application B 2021-069 and minor variance applications 2021-144 and -145, 86 Whitney Place. Is the applicant here? I believe so. Yes, that'd be Vlad.
Yes.
Good morning, sir. Have you had an opportunity to read the staff report?
Yeah, I think that there was just one thing missed. Under the comments from the Heritage Planning Division, they say that city records note that the building on this property was constructed in 1885. Given the age of this dwelling, Heritage Planning staff request that both the interior and exterior of the dwelling be photographed using the city's photo documentation standards as a condition of the consent application. I don't think that was added in the conditions. I think it might have just been missed, but I just want to be on the safe side and just note that.
Let me read through this.
Is it in there? I might have missed it.
Trees, parkland.
Mr. Chair?
Yes. Andrew, carry on.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring to the committee's attention that Mr. Knezevic is correct. So when we were writing the report, we did have that condition, and before it was finalized, we inadvertently removed it. And I sent a memo to Sarah this morning, and I'm not sure if it was forwarded to you, but yes, condition 5 should be re-added, and that is that the owner shall photograph both the interior and exterior of the dwelling using the city's photo documentation standards to the satisfaction of the city's director of planning. And then the following conditions are simply renumbered to allow for that insertion. So I just wanted to bring that to the committee's attention before you consider it.
Okay, that makes sense. And I think it's a good idea to comply with the heritage request. So that now makes us 12 conditions for I guess the severance, or so there's the 12 there. Okay. Any further comments from the committee? Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I missed the heritage comments in the report, but I was going to ask about condition 5, but now I understand why it refers to condition 5, which is where we're wanting to insert this. So that makes sense. So we're going to insert the heritage condition as condition 5 and renumber 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 to 6 to 12.
That's my understanding. Yes.
That makes sense. That makes sense now.
Okay. Any further comments from the committee? Not seeing any. Does someone want to make a motion? Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this is an excellent infill application, and I'm going to move it subject to the insertion of that new condition, as condition number 5, and renumbering 5 to 11 to 6 to 12, and the rest in keeping with the staff recommendation.
Okay, seconder for that? Mike, you second?
Yes.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor? That's carried. That concludes our applications for today. And we're still on live streaming, which is fine, I guess. That's all very good. I'm just going to say a quick comment. Been a strange year, folks. You know that as well as I do. And I want to thank the committee members for all of their hard work. I want to make it very clear that my opinion is staff has just adapted to the complications and done a tremendous job. Hopefully, we're coming into a new year, and hopefully 2022, we may get back to some sense of normality. So in the meantime, thanks for all your help this year, guys and gals. Have a very safe and joyful holiday season. And I wish my wife and I wish all of you the very best for 2022. Yes, Scott.
I was just going to say ditto, Mr. Chairman. Thanks again to staff and all their hard work. I do have a question for staff, but we can certainly deal with it after we're off live streaming. So,
okay.
Through the chair, I'm sorry if I missed it. Did I get a motion to adjourn?
No, we didn't. Thank you for catching us there. Okay, we need a motion. Mike.
I'm prepared to make that motion.
Okay, Scott. Okay, all in favor.